So thank you very much for being present. Our topic today is creating peace. And in fact, as we were spending that moment together of quiet, the image that came very clearly to me was exactly this of creating pathways through our thoughts and our feelings, and bridges of peace with whatever we're thinking about, whatever we're doing. So I might be having just returned from a travel. I might be thinking about the people I met, the things I did, and so as I'm thinking, it's as if I'm creating a bridge between me and the past, me and the people. And so, what I can also do as well is just think about the memories, the conversations, the impact that that had. But I can also be in that, consciously be in that state of peace so that the energy that is transferred, because whenever we think, whenever we're feeling, we're generating, we're using, and we're also generating energy, we're spreading energy. And so, this image of whatever we think about, we can generate and distribute the energy of peace. Because we actually have a huge abundance of that within us. It's not like we could run out, actually. So, sometimes we may feel that we don't have access to it, but actually it's like Ali's cave, which is full of these incredible treasures inside. You just have to know the password or the spell to open it. So what is it? What are the different methods that we can use and distribute this energy of peace? And I think that just like this one image, creating pathways of peace or bridges of peace is just one way. And I really enjoy these kind of images because it helps move the energy for me. So visualizing these beautiful pathways and a beautiful bridge going across time and space and carrying the energy like a gift, like a message. So rather than thinking, oh, I wish I could still be with these people, I wish I could still be doing the things I was doing on holiday, which could easily be these kinds of thoughts, to send the energy of love and the energy of peace, because that is what I would want the people that I spent time with. I would want them to experience that and receive that. And so it's a very beautiful positioning for the self, and keeps that sense of contentment rather than the sense of wanting. So it's when there's that contentment that I can then generate even more peace. And so be peaceful, be happy, and also share that and distribute that. And so I was thinking that what are some of the different occasions in which we could, it would be useful to create peaceful vibrations. So what do you think are some of the different occasions or situations where it would be really useful to have the vibrations, the vibes of peace? Can you think of places which have naturally a vibration of peace? So nature is an obvious one, isn't it? It has a natural vibe of peace. But again, I need to be in harmony with that vibration. Otherwise, I may not even feel that peaceful vibe. And so of course, the reality is that the peace that I can experience and I can distribute is coming from within. I may or may not be able to experience the peace of nature. So if I'm in conflict with the people around me, then I might be in the most beautiful place, the most peaceful, the most clean air, but I will not feel that peace. I will not be able to be peaceful. And so it's the peace that I can access and distribute and use that is like my property in a sense, is that which is within me. And so the question is, in what what different occasions or situations can become a trigger for me to say, okay, I want here and now to create a peaceful energy or a peaceful vibe. And so it could be, of course, literally any situation. But sometimes some things are more obvious than others. And I don't know if you can think of any. And I'm sure there are many, many unlimited number of situations. And just one, just to start us off, one obvious one is in conflictual situations with people. Maybe there are two people who are arguing and you are in that same room or the same meeting or in the same place, then that's of course a very useful, very important moment to be able to create within the self a vibration, a vibe of peace. Because when you start to vibrate, it's a bit like the resonance, that you take a resonance bar and you bang it, you sound it, and then that vibration, the sound vibration, ripples everywhere. And so it's the same thing inside, is that inside I connect with who I am, with my peace, and it's that energy that will ripple all around. And so it might be that I'm watching people argue, and if I'm able to be peaceful, just to be quiet inside for a moment, to be still even, it's as if that energy of peace may give me the inspiration to say something or to do something that will actually neutralize the shall we say disturbance or the discord that's happening because of the argument or the discussion. And so in that kind of a situation, I think it's very, very useful to practice creating peace by being peaceful inside, by sounding the resonance of peace within, which then spreads it all around. Another one is in the midst or after a lot of activity. So we might feel like often that is one of the big triggers of stress, isn't it? Is when we feel we have too much to do, or we set our standards that are set goals that are unrealistic, and so we end up feeling as if there's too much to do, and I'm not able to manage, and so we end up going quite far away from the energy of peace. And so I find for myself is that especially when I know that there is a lot to do, or that I've done a lot and I've been with people and done many, many things, that I need to create the energy of peace around me, within me and around me. And so this is, it's like, it could be just very simply taking time out for myself, because often when we're in the midst of a lot of activity, it might be very, lots of fun and beautiful and enjoyable activity. It doesn't mean it has to be only work kind of situations, but even on holiday, even in different moments, sometimes we need to take the time for ourselves. you know. And just to reconnect, recreate the vibe of peace. Because I want to be able to connect with the people who are around me on that level of peaceful energy. I want to start my connection with them from that space. you know. I don't want to start my connection with them from the space of where they are, maybe, which could be peaceful, and that would be great. But sometimes it's not. You know. Sometimes they are rushing around or doing many different things, and I might absorb their tension or their stress. And or whether I'm absorbing theirs or it's triggering mine, which could be. So whatever it is, but I feel in the midst of or after a lot of activity is one of the triggers to generate the energy, the vibe of peace. And so I don't know about, would any of you like to share as well, what are the different occasions where you find it very useful to create the vibe of peace, the vibe, the energy of peace? So be interested to hear what you have to share. And then I have something to read and a few other thoughts to share with you as well. So what are some of the occasions, the moments where you find that creating a peaceful vibration, in a sense, shall we say, balances out the situation for you?
Well,
yes, Sandra.
Yes, when I was in the sea, I took the bath recently. Maybe there, I felt really the peaceful. That was, and when I used to work it hard, I remember when I used to go to the sea and to go and only to see or relax there, watching the nature and especially the waves and these things, I stayed in peace, This is physically. Now, sometimes at home as well, when I have a moment to pray or I try to get in peace, but it's not easy.
Yes. Yes.
For me,
please, yes.
Yeah, sorry. For me, I think that it's important to create the energy of peace also when people tend to be anxious. Like, for example, at this time with the virus, etc., many people are anxious. So it would be important to have some peace at least.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Aldous, please.
I find the question very interesting because it invites to think about it, and different moments, different answers come up. But if I think about it at the moment, as was mentioned, I think actually really after every engagement and interaction, that inner being is outside itself. It is nice to reconnect again with the self, as long as it becomes natural again, so that that balance is not lost. Because what happens usually, even if we are going into the nature or we are having joyful moments, the attention and the energy is towards the outside. It's kind of, we are pulled outside, and of course, if it's a pleasant moment, it's less tiring or demanding, but it's the same thing what we do we take from outside. And the feeling is that this turning inside and inwards and experiencing that peace rebalances, because we balance between inside and outside, if it makes sense.
Yes, thank you. Thanks to all of you for sharing very, very, very useful and interesting things, in fact. And I think as it's come out quite clearly also, like what Marilyn was sharing, that in fact there are those moments, also as Aldous was saying, where there is the peace outside, and it's in a sense easier to resonate. Of course, the peace is coming towards you, and I just have to reflect it back. But it's in those situations where I need to be the one that initiates the wave of peace, the energy of peace. That's when, of course, to initiate a wave, we need some movement inside. And so I think that the first thing is to be able to notice when it is me, when I would like to contribute with the vibration of peace. And so it could be that it's a beautiful, peaceful atmosphere, and it's just the energy of gratitude and sharing, the love from the ocean of peace and sharing that back with nature. Or it could be in this kind of conflictual situations, or before and after every engagement, every time we find ourselves out of ourselves, like all those shared. And so yes, very, very important, all of that. I think another one is when we might find ourselves overthinking, so thinking a lot about some situation or other, which could be some issue usually. And so I might find that, oh gosh, I'm really thinking about this so much. It's on my mind, in my mind, and it becomes part of my vibe because of that. And so I think that is maybe one of the most tricky ones to in a sense transform, because one thing is where an external situation is one thing and you are in another state, and so you can just remember and share who you are and what you are. But it's when I realize that in fact where I need to generate the peace is, where I need to create the vibe of peace is exactly inside. That's where we need to go even deeper into ourselves and stabilize ourselves with that, in a sense, a superhuman strength, really, spiritual strength, to go beyond the whirlpool of these kind of thoughts, which may not be all negative thoughts. It could be a mixture of necessary and waste and negative and a few positive, so it could be a big soup of the different kinds of thoughts, but it's still a lot of movement and somehow consuming my energy rather than generating energy. And so the ability to, in a sense, step above that, so that I see, or deeper, however you choose to see your position, but basically to take yourself to see that, to observe that, okay, I've spent quite a bit of time thinking about this in one way or another, and now I need to create the energy of peace within me. So just one thing is to recognize and acknowledge that. And I think that in itself is a very powerful step. And so rather than thinking, oh, I need to resolve this situation, maybe it's going to take some time. But in the meanwhile, what I can do is to create and connect myself with the peaceful energy within, which is also within. This is the incredible paradox, is that on one level, there may be this storm, which could even be a violent storm of lots of thoughts and issues and emotions. But underneath that, or behind that, is this quiet, peaceful, constant energy of the soul, of the original nature. And so it's like bringing my identity, my identification and my awareness from that lots of activity of thinking to shift it into the focus of who I am. And so whilst all of that continues in a way, however, I am more and more stabilized in my positioning of my true nature. So it's like a shift of awareness. And for that, I think it's about having some basic information, which is, in fact, that my innate nature is to be peaceful. This is who I am, and this is why I resonate with peace, and this is why I look for peace. But in fact, I have the ability and the potential and the need to generate peace, to be autonomous in my peace. And connected with that is, I think one thing is to notice that, and then the next thing, this is just, sharing just some of the things that have worked for me and some of the, shall we say, the processes that have been useful, is the intention of peace. So I may notice that there is disturbance or there is discord, whether it's internal or external. And so my intention is to offer peaceful vibration, to offer an atmosphere of peace. And so that makes it easier to stabilize myself in that state of peace. Because I know what I'm doing, I know why I'm doing it. And, it's when sometimes there's so much to do that, I don't know if you've had that experience where sometimes you think, oh, I've got so many things to do, that actually when I sit down to do them, I don't know where I need to start, And so to be able to have that clarity in knowing exactly what's going on inside, I see what's happening outside, and I know what I want to do in this moment, which is to be peaceful and to contribute with a vibe of peace by being peaceful. And so sowing those seeds now means that the fruits of peace will be available, and not just for me, but for everyone around me. And so it might be that in some sort of conflict, maybe I don't feel that peace, but I've been practicing to be peace, to generate it. But maybe I don't feel it in that moment. But somehow the energy, the seeds that I've sown then in that heated moment, they will bear fruit maybe later on. But in the meanwhile, not only have I put my energy into generating peace, but I've probably saved a lot of energy from being wasted in negative and wasteful thinking. Because it's like we do one or the other. No, we can't do both. And so it's choosing peace rather than choosing disturbance, whether it's the inner disturbance or the outer disturbance. And I think it's also very much connected with, like I was mentioning this word awareness. So being aware of what is the soul or the spirit of the situation or the context. So in other words, what's the need? What's going on? Asking that question, what's happening around me? Which is beyond the obvious, beyond someone behaving in a certain way, beyond, the things that maybe I would normally have many judgments for. To see beyond all of that and say, what is the soul of this situation? What is the spirit? What's actually happening? What's the message in this situation for me? And that, of course, brings the attention back to the self in a healthy way for myself. And so I don't need to keep drawing other people's attention to me, because I am paying attention to myself, because I consider myself worthy of my attention. And so I'm able to observe in a way that is stable and with a non-judgmental eye. So that will help me to see what's the need. And it could be just a very simple need for me to be still, for me to observe, for me not to take things personally, for me to stay close to my contentment and my peace, for me to not try to control the way the situation is going. Sometimes it's like just taking that space so that we can remember the things that we know. So we all know many, many, many things. We're all students of, probably from many years. And so we have a lot of things in our consciousness and our subconscious. And so it's just like creating a space for that to come up. And I think, of course, one very important element in terms of generating peace and creating a peaceful vibration, especially when we might find that the situation is bigger than what we can handle, or even if it's not, even if it is something that we think we can handle. And that is the connection with the Supreme as a companion, as a guide, as a teacher, as a friend, or as any relationship, or in an impersonal way as well, but to connect with this Supreme Being as the ocean of peace. Because I know that whilst my capacity may be limited, in the sense that I may or may not have the strength in this moment to do and to be what I would like to be. But for the Supreme Being, there is no limitation. There is nothing that is too big, that peace is not possible. And so knowing that, I can connect with the Supreme Being as the ocean of peace, as the source of peace. And this is what gives me that sense of confidence and abundance, and the certainty that whatever is needed will happen. The best will happen. And so, those were just some thoughts that came to my mind about creating, when we need and when we can create this vibe, this energy of peace within and around us. And so I thought we could have a meditation, and I'd like to read a little piece on peace by Dadi Janki, and it's called Original Peace. And I think probably some of you may have heard it a number of times, but in fact it's a very beautiful one, so I will read it again. So it is not necessary to search for peace. It is within. Your original state is one of peace. External situations will pull you away from your peace, if, that is, you let them. Internal feelings can also pull you away. Tiredness, for example, leads to irritability. Learn to be in charge of yourself and maintain your peace. Center your awareness on your spiritual form, a tiny star-like point of light, seated in the middle of your forehead. Really experience the difference between you, the sparkling star, and your body, the physical vehicle. Learn to detach yourself from the vehicle, so meaning from the consciousness of the vehicle. Even a few moments of this practice, if done regularly, will return you to your natural state of peace. Tiredness will vanish and irritability too, and your actions will be filled with love for the self and others. And so this practice that Dadi Janki is talking about is the practice of just a very simple, basic awareness of I, the self, as a spiritual being. At the same time, my nature is to be peaceful, loving, strong, happy, wise, truthful. And I am present in this physical body, this vehicle, which is a very precious vehicle, because it is through this that I can practice being who I am. And I see the difference between who I am and this physical vehicle. So the physical energy, the energy of matter, is different from the energy of the spirit. Two different kinds of energy. And it's a pity to mix them up, because it's when I understand clearly who I am that I can understand clearly what the body needs and create a condition of harmony between us. So I don't get us mixed up between who I am and what is my body. And so it's when I have this energy that's very clear of who I am, that's when it becomes accessible. That's when the peace, the harmony, the contentment, the tolerance or the strength, whatever it is, when they all, the treasures of Ali's cave become accessible, the door opens. And so it is the key, in a sense, is the awareness of who am I? That wonderful question that we can answer in a different way every day. And so, so let's experience this now for ourselves. Maybe just to be in that position inside where we're aware of this internal workshop where we can generate and create this energy of peace, the vibe of peace. We can create waves of peace. and not surround the whole world, but maybe starting with our world, our inner world, and the circle of people that we interact with every day, then the wider circle, the people whom we've known in the past, the people who we know now, but maybe we don't meet very often, and then even the people that we don't know, that we've never met, people that live in different parts of the world that are troubled. Even people everywhere, and share that, generate that vibe and spread that vibe. And so when all of these vibrations come together and meet, that's when it's like a confluence of peace. So find a comfortable position and sit back, relax, take a deep breath, and let your eyes rest at one point that's comfortable. And as I feel the breath going in and out, I can feel all my energy calming down. Anything that's heavy or old, any vibration that feels like a disturbance, all of that washes away and dissolves. And as I step inside, I find that stable, powerful place at the very center of my being, where I can see everything that's going on in my mind. And from my peaceful position, I can send waves and vibes to my own mind, vibrations of peace, of love, of well-wishing. My mind is precious, is powerful and peaceful. I see my mind coming back to the clarity and the far-sightedness, the willpower that is familiar. And all the many different qualities and virtues that are within I, the soul, they are reflected out through the mind, expressed first through the mind. I am peace. I am light. I am love. And as I watch this energy gather momentum, I watch the waves spread out like a subtle fragrance to the different circles of people, places. Even belonging to the past. I watch these waves of pure energy spreading, being deposited here and there. And the more the energy is distributed, the more there is of it. And I sense the presence of the source of peace. So generous, overflowing with the abundance of unlimited love, flowing peace. Where distance is not an issue. Nothing is a barrier. And this energy, this vibe, travels far and wide. And as I watch from my position of stability here inside, I sense the wonder of this supreme activity. The return to peace, to our original nature. And very gently, from this beautiful space inside, I gently guide my attention once again. I feel my physical body. I move my hands, my feet. I take a few deep breaths and I become aware of my physical surroundings.